Hi everyone and welcome back to Chess for Charity. In this video, we are going to do a puzzle where you have a bishop against 4 pawns and your goal is to see if you can win with the white pieces. So take a second, evaluate the position. White's pawns are going up the board, black's pawns are going down the board, and you have a couple of things that you're going to have to worry about. You have a couple of ways to get at this pawn here, but remember, you're trying to stop all the pawns. So the E pawn, the C pawn, the F pawn. See how far you can calculate in advance to see if you can find the solution to this puzzle. It's harder than it appears. So don't just think you go to C5 and the game is over. See how deeply you can find the solution and see if you can go all the way to the end. And before I show the solution, let me just quickly encourage you to subscribe if you have not yet already. Half of the income I earn in this channel goes directly to charity, so each subscriber helps me out a lot. Okay, let's get started here. So the immediate threat is f1 equals queen, right? So the first move kind of seems obvious, which is c4. I think maybe I said c5 earlier. Bishop c4, check. Okay, great. And the idea here is you're getting on this square to check the king, but more importantly, now you're guarding f1. That's the key point. And from here, the king has 2 moves, right? So you either go a7 or a5. Even here is a good place to reflect on which square is better. If you go to a5, is that better or worse than going to a7? So it turns out a5 is not as strong of a defense, and let's look at why. So a5, you're guarding the square now. So if they promote, there's no fear, I just take it. But it's white to move, and white just pushes, and the goal is to just promote and checkmate the king. And there's not much that you can do about that if you're black. The most, I guess the scary move perhaps, is c2. So maybe you give up the pawn first and then go c2. A lot of ways to do it. Maybe even king a4. Let's look at each of them. So if I play f1 equals queen, give up the bishop just to buy myself another move, I push one more, I'm going to be checking while promoting. So promote, and then black checks. But be careful here because remember, when your queen is lined up with this king, when you move your king, that's going to be check. So this is actually going to be mate in just a couple moves. If the king goes here, queen a8 is checkmate, right? The bishop is covering there. So just to give you a sense of how it can go. So even though they promote with check, you just step out of the way and you can land mate. That's just one sample line if they go to a5. And there are other ways to think about it, but again, this is just a sample. Like just for example, a4, you just promote. And now I have a couple of threats here. You can't really do anything about it. The best move according to the computer is king a3. But it's clear in this position that black is not looking to push to promote because I can play queen d1. Everything is held down. I'm threatening checkmate in 1. You have to run around. But even this is not a problem. Bishop b3. Everything is being held together. These squares are covered. And there's no threat of losing this game. So according to the computer, best move is to promote. You take it and then push the pawn. It looks scary, but you pin the pawn, stopping it from promoting. There is no stalemate here. The king moves around. It doesn't matter. This is going to be mate either way. Okay, not in that position, but it will be mate eventually. Okay. So going to a5 after the bishop checks you while you're sitting on a6 is not the best resistance. It's not the reason I wanted to show you this puzzle. It's a cool puzzle that way too, but the reason why I wanted to show this is what happens after this check when the king goes to a7. So you might have already thought, okay, like I said, you promote the pawn, and maybe you can try to push this pawn and eventually get there with check if you're the black pieces. So you have to know that in advance, right? So let's just look at this line all the way out, right? I just checked you. You moved. Now I want to get a queen, so I push this pawn, right? I'm guarding this square. So let's get crazy now. You say, let's just promote it. I'm giving up this queen. Really, the idea is I want to push this pawn. You're not going to be able to stop them both. And this looks a little scary, right? What do you do to stop this? If you didn't see this position in your initial analysis, I would encourage you just to pause right here and see if you can find it from this position. This is the reason I wanted to show this puzzle. So you can't stop this pawn, right? That part is obvious. Going bishop anywhere is not going to do anything. Just promote. With check, by the way. So, is this just a draw? What do you do? Well, you might say, fine, I'll just promote to a queen, and it's going to be a draw, because they promote to a queen, and now, when you move, there's no check, because the king is not sitting on a5, it's sitting on a7. So, this will be just a regular draw. You're going to go one of these squares, and when you go to, let's just say here, it's just a check, and you have to stay attached to the queen, but it doesn't really matter. King e7 will just say, you just take here? No, of course not. You take the bishop. Look at this. This is a drawn endgame. Perpetual check is going to happen here. Not a problem. Okay, so queen is not a good idea. What do? You don't move the bishop, like I said. Well, here's where it gets fancy. And if you saw this move, amazing job. If not, this is why we're learning. You promote to a knight. And you might say, what? What is the point of that? Well, let me show you the point, and maybe you can see the point. I promote to a queen. That's check. Well, here's the cool thing. I can now interpose with this knight with check. Look at that move. And now this bishop is guarding a6. So really, black has two moves in this position, only two moves. They can either move their king to a8, or they can give up the queen. Okay, well, clearly you don't want to give up the queen, right? So king a8. What is the move in this position that wins it all? When I say that, it kind of gives it away. But what is the move in this position that is a knockout blow? And this is the reason why I wanted to show this puzzle, this under promotion to a knight, and then this next move. So right now, the king is very close to being checkmated. If only you can place the bishop just like right here, right? That'd be mate. That would just be checkmate. So that's not how chess works. You can't just place the position. You can't just place the bishop in the position. This is not Crazy House or any other variant. Instead, bishop a6, saying, I'm going to checkmate you on b7, and you cannot stop me. You cannot stop me from checkmating you. And then black says, oh, actually, I can stop you. I can give up the queen. But that's already right there. That's an admission that you've won. So in this position, the best move for black, believe it or not, because they cannot stop this, they have to give up the queen. And that, of course, they can stop it, but they're kind of losing the game. So now, this position, from the beginning analysis, you had to recognize, if you saw deeply enough, you had to recognize that this is a win. Why is it a win? This is an A pawn. What color is it? A light squared pawn. Light squared pawn. I think you know what I'm trying to say. The ending promotion square is the same color square as the bishop, right? If that's the case, you can eventually force the king out. So it's a very instructive endgame. So let's just say the king tries to run and hunt you down. No problem at all. You just go here, you're guarding this, you're guarding this. You're going to mop up these pawns. Maybe it's instructive to show. If you want to show it, I'll just go quickly and show it, just to show the point. I know this is not best play, but the point is now, if the king is in the corner, imagine if this was a dark squared bishop, you would never be able to dislodge this king. But because it's a light squared bishop, I can move in, and even something like this. I go here, here, I check you, you're out, I push this pawn, you can no longer return, and you have no longer any access to a8, a7, or b7, and even c7 for that matter. You only have one move, and I just continue to push these pawns, push this pawn, only one pawn, down the board, and this is going to be an easy win. So that's it. That is the puzzle. Just to go all the way back, just to do a quick second review of it, I love this position because even the computer is saying this is a draw. And then only when you give it a couple of seconds does it realize this is a win. Bishop c4 check. No matter where the king goes, you're going to win. But the best defense is king a7. And then after the super nice under promotion, like this. Well, let's look at another line really fast. I don't think I looked at it. If they push first, is that going to change anything? Yeah, it's just going to lead to a faster loss because now I can promote and there's no promotion with check. If they want to promote, I just mate them, right? Because the bishop is covering. Hopefully you get the picture there. If you want to look at any variation, any particular variation in the analysis, feel free to look at the position in the description. So that's all you need to do. I have it there. I know I try to cover as much as I can, but I can't cover every single line. But yeah, that is it for the video. I just love this under promotion. It's just so cool. After this, and then this, come on. Look at that. That is so fancy. The check. So they can't take here because it's check. Like this. And look at that move. Bishop A6, bang. Just to show it, if they made another move, look at that. That's such a nice checkmate. Look at the way the bishop and the knight coordinate with the support of the king. King is a killer. But yeah, I said that's it already. I'm just excited to show more lines. I love this puzzle. It's a lot of fun. But that is it for now. If you enjoy the content, be sure to subscribe. Helps me out a lot. But until next time, thank you so much. Bye.